We're back. All right, now let's get to exactly therefore the last part of the conversation on what has been quite a trying time for the insurance industry in Kenya, which has seen 5.33 billion in the entire of 2020 in terms of surrenders and policy withdrawals. All right, now Washington, I mean, your regulator is looking at this and then he's saying, well, what sort of olive branch can I extend the insurance industry now so they can actually start now to come to terms with the effect of what has been the COVID-19 pandemic stricken business here? Washington, can you get me, sir?
Yeah, let me, my mic is back on.
Yes, now, it's back on.
The regulator can actually do a lot as far as improving the business environment in the insurance sector is concerned.
Yes.
Because you see, there's one thing we've learned about COVID-19. It's that a slightest mishap in the economy affects this industry almost to its destruction. You know? I can also assure you that whatever figures that we are looking at was some they've been they're not like the current figures, so to speak. They're like 3 months old or 4 months old. What happens when we get the correct figures in the next, for example, like 1 month? What kind of situation are you going to have? Because just like Adelaide is saying, the issue of paying for the issue of paying premiums for insurance policies is actually not a priority. So how does a commissioner, how does a regulatory authority make it attractive for people to actually to get insurance? Number one, they've got to put what they call a confidence back into the insurance sector. How are they going to do that? They're going to shut down almost half of the insurance companies in this country that are basically just collecting premiums, you know? They need to, every day in the news, you get this concept of a company has closed down because it can't pay 10 million shillings. 10 million shillings. A company is being put in bankruptcy because of 10 million. What is 10 million? In an industry where we say the minimum capital requirement is about like 400 million. Another one is 300 million. A composite insurance company has to pay almost like $1 billion, you know? What are we talking about here? We need confidence back in the sector. So the regulator needs to clamp down on the insurance on those companies that are actually messing up the name of the insurance industry. I had a conversation last week with a certain CEO in the insurance sector. Well, his company is one of the good ones. So the biggest problem, and as we discussed, the biggest problem was that his company is ranked together with those other quack companies, so to speak. You know, because there's kind of no distinction. When all of you get a license to operate and to open the doors and for premiums to be corrected, the members of the public are very, very green as far as which insurance company is good. They are very, very green by the way. All they believe is that it is insurance. So when you talk about the insurance industry where they don't pay claims, they group everyone in it, the good and the bad. So the regulator needs to come out and even needs to come out on air and say, this is what we are talking about in the insurance industry. We are getting rid of rogue insurance companies. We are getting rid of rogue insurance agents and brokers because they're in their thousands, especially in my, as a chairman of insurance agents in Kenya, I know there are thousands of quacks. Insurance, they call them the insurance agents, thousands. And the question I ask is this: why doesn't the regulator clamp down on this? Why does the regulator and we even give solutions? This is the way to go about it. Because when you go out there and a client's premiums are stolen, we are all grouped in the same. We are actually, the whole industry is grouped as you guys are thieves. You know, as much as we try to make something good out of it, we all group together. The regulator needs to come up and style up or something. I even suggested the other day, Simba, if the regulator cannot do his work, the parastatal should be scrapped. We don't need it, you know?
Yes.
You know, yeah. I think it's even worse when it's surviving. It would be better if it's not there and we do things the way we're going to do it, you know?
Yes. Washington, let me bring in Adelaide on this as well. Now, Adelaide was started in 2021 by knowing that there's some also regulations that have been pushed into the industry just to make sure that it operates at its optimum. I mean, when you look at that as well now, Adelaide, against that regulation that has been pushed in that industry, would your regulator be thinking twice and saying, well, maybe hold on, because they're going through a tough time?
I mean, tough times are inevitable. I think when we spoke about insurance during the last TV interview, just right here,
yes,
we're talking about a need for these younger, smaller insurers to come in together, merge, and get some kind of acquisitions to just create some strength in the industry. I don't think scrapping them off and removing them completely is a solution. I think there's been significant investment.
We seem to have lost Adelaide. Adelaide, can you confirm whether you can actually get me? Yes. Quite unfortunate that we've lost Adelaide at that point, but she was also sort of saying that, well, everybody's going through a tough time. So when it comes to regulation, it has to happen whether we like it or not. Adelaide, can you get me? Can you confirm? All right. Unfortunately, that marks the end of our conversation this morning as regards the insurance industry in the country. But it will be so good to get the final remark from Adelaide on that. I promise when she comes back, we shall be getting back to her on that as well. Adelaide, can you get me?
Yes, I can. Sorry for that.
Yes, can we clear that sentiment, therefore?
Yeah, so the longer term would be to look at the insolvency and the solvency of these companies, a deep dive of the regulator to ensure that the solvency is met to the highest level, and to be able to ensure that most of these insurance companies are well adjusted for the losses that they anticipate. So I believe it's really a critical time for the regulator to step in, look at some of the tax subsidies that can be able to be built in to ensure that there's efficient rollover of these markets.
Pretty much. Adelaide, Washington, thank you very much for taking your time this morning to speak to us here at Metropole Television. On that note, I want us to quickly jump onto the last issue that we have for you this morning. But the Central Bank of Kenya data now shows that diaspora remittances hit 329.41 billion shillings, or if you may want, 3.094 billion US dollars last year, translating to about 6.33 billion shillings sent back home every week, stamping remittances as an important contributor to the exchange receipts. Now, the total remittances during the period under review stood at 9.56% higher than the maximum of 300.67 billion shillings, that is about $2.824 billion that Dr. Njoroge had projected in July last year. Now, the economic disruption brought about by the pandemic that had hit countries such as the US and the UK had been seen the CBK project a 12% fall in remittances to 232.2 billion shillings due to job cuts. Now, the United States makes the largest country in terms of the inflow contributions, despite the country becoming a major COVID-19 hotspot and also faced tensions in recently concluded elections. Now, diaspora remittances have been quite resilient despite the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. Why this trend despite the heavy grip on the economies by the coronavirus pandemic, especially the United States, which is the hotspot for infections and fatalities? George, that is for you this morning.
Thank you, Elijah. If you look at our composition of our FX account, or what we call our current account, then the biggest contributor to our FX earnings is previously, was tourism, which was very big.
Yes.
And then we have exports of coffee and tea. And then down there we had foreign remittances by our pals who are outside there. But between 2020 and now, or between 2019 and now, foreign direct remittances have surpassed tourism and even threatened to surpass exports from tea and coffee. to become one of the biggest FX earners for the country. And I want to credit this to the work ethic of most of our Kenyan populace. And if you look at our education system, Elijah, I think sometimes we blame ourselves for so much that we don't realize the positives that we have, Elijah. Most of our colleagues or most of our relatives who are outside there, I think their work ethic is so good, such that they are able to not only earn something to sustain them in those foreign capitals, but also spare something to invest back home. Two, most of the Kenyans in the diaspora would want to invest back home so that eventually when they come back home, at least they have something to lay their hands on. That alone explains why our FX remittances is becoming one of the key FX earners for the Kenyan economy. We've not done very well for our colleagues, for our relatives who are outside there, because sometimes they send this money back to invest in the country, but the investments vehicles that they get sometimes don't work for them, or you find that some of these monies are swindled. So I would want to expect, I would want to see the Central Bank of Kenya, and by extension the Treasury, having very well thought out policies, so that this investment that eventually come back to Kenya are safeguarded for these individuals who are remitting these monies back to Kenya. Remember, Elijah, if you have FX reserves, then one, you protect yourself against what we call imported inflation. Two, you have what we call sufficient FX reserves to be able to import, to finance your imports day in, day out. So this is a very critical aspect of our economy that I would expect Central Bank and by extension the Treasury and by extension the government still to be able to protect this remittance so that we continue seeing this inflows back into our economy as we go into 2021, 2022. Otherwise, if you don't guard this, then maybe sometimes in the future, these remittances might start going down, which would be a very sorry state for the economy. But as it were, I think we are in a good position to not only attract more of these foreign remittances back to the economy, Elijah.
Yes. George, just quickly, as we clear that conversation this morning, talk to me about what the new Biden presidency means for our remittances. We do know exactly how Trump has been talking about the international migration policy, and also why we haven't seen that much of an effect from US, despite it being the hotspot for fatalities and also infections of the coronavirus pandemic.
Elijah, I want to take you back now to the geopolitics, especially the politics in the US. Yes. Remember when Trump rose into power, he had very bad immigration policies, especially to the African Americans, which our colleagues are part of. As he exits the scene, Elijah, I expect the new administration. In fact, I was watching international news today. I saw one of the key pointers or one of the key agenda items for President-elect Biden is to address immigration policies. So I expect that when Biden is eventually sworn in tomorrow, then that is one of the key policy items that you'd want to address. And that will not only sow up our relatives or our nationals who will be in the foreign capitals, especially in the EU and in the US, but will also enable them to remit even more back into the economy. Going back to the COVID pandemic, that has affected, I think, the entire world, and we've not seen much impact when it comes to foreign remittances. Remember, we expected the foreign remittances to dip in 2020 as we go into, I think, 2020 quarter 2, 3, and 4. But we didn't see that much dip in foreign remittances. So that essentially tells you that the resilience of the Kenyan economy, we have exported that resilience even to our nationals who are outside there, that despite what is happening in those foreign capitals, they were still able to not only earn a living for themselves, but get something to remit back to the economy. So that is a plus for us as an economy, and that is a plus for our nationals who are outside there. That we need to continuously work hard so that we can not only support ourselves wherever they are in those foreign countries, but also support the local economy. So in a nutshell, I expect as Biden is sworn in tomorrow that this will have a positive impact on the economic well-being of our nationals there, and it will eventually have a positive impact on the remittances that we eventually receive as Kenyan from our foreign nationals who are in the Western capitals.
George, always a pleasure to speak to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on A Business Am.
Thank you, Elijah.
And on that note, we come to the end of what we have prepared for you today.